All right, today we're jumping into the story of Marka. Now, this isn't just any forest. It's a massive woodland, about 7 times the size of Manhattan. That's literally Oslo's backyard. It's a fascinating story about a city's deep, deep love for nature and, well, the incredibly complex battle to manage that love.
So, it all kicks off with this really simple but powerful idea. Just picture a city growing, expanding, always hungry for more space. But instead of just letting it sprawl out forever, the people drew a literal, legal line in the dirt. It created this hard border separating the urban world from the wild. Concrete on one side, canopy on the other.
And that really gets to the heart of what we're talking about today. What does that line really mean? We're going to peel back the layers of this whole story to understand the law that created this line, the conflicts it accidentally caused, and the very real threats this amazing forest is now facing. So, let's get into it. First up, let's talk about the legal foundation. You see, this line wasn't just a friendly suggestion, it was a total revolution in urban planning, and it was all written down in a really powerful piece of legislation. Okay, so this law has a name, the Markaloven, which just means the Marka Law. It was passed in 2009, and its main goal isn't what you might think. It's not about logging or resources. It's all about protecting and promoting nature experiences and sports. This law basically says that the true value of the forest is how people use it for their own well-being.
And this law is designed to protect a really core Norwegian value called friluftsliv. It translates to open-air life. It's this deep cultural belief that spending simple, quiet time in nature is good for you both spiritually and physically. It's not just a hobby over there, it's a huge part of the national identity.
And this right here is the main tool the law uses to do its job, the Marka-grensen, or the Marka boundary. This is that magic line we talked about. It's a fixed, legally enforced border. On one side, the city can build up and get denser. On the other side, the forest is protected. Sounds pretty simple, right? Well, not exactly.
So here's the twist. The law was maybe too successful. By creating that hard stop for the city, the population of Oslo just packed in tighter and tighter, right up against the forest edge. So the law saved the land from developers, but it also created a funnel, channeling an ever-increasing number of people straight into it. And that leads us to the next big question, doesn't it? The forest is legally safe from bulldozers, sure, but is it safe from the millions of hiking boots, bike tires, and ski poles of the very people who love it so much? All right, so how do you solve this problem of basically loving nature to death? Well, the managers had to get really creative. They couldn't just put up a "sorry, we're full" sign, so they turned to the tools of landscape planning. Now, the managers were facing this fundamental conflict. You've got one group of people who want high-intensity action. We're talking competitive skiing, lighted trails for nighttime runs, big events. And then you've got another group seeking that quiet, solitary friluftsliv experience. So how on earth can a single forest be both a stadium and a sanctuary at the same time? So the solution they came up with was this idea of a differentiated landscape. Basically, they decided to divide the forest by its purpose. They concentrated all the high-intensity stuff into specific zones, they designated other areas as quiet zones, and then they had to figure out how to steer the crowds. And that's where this concept of channeling comes in, and it's actually brilliant, a really subtle form of crowd control. Near the entrances from the city, they build these wide, smooth gravel paths, basically highways for strollers and casual bikers. But the deeper you go, the trails get narrower, more rugged, full of roots. So without a single sign saying experts only, the landscape itself sorts people out, protecting the more delicate areas.
And then, for those people looking for that quiet escape, they designated areas as eventyrskog, which beautifully translates to fairytale forest. In these zones, they deliberately keep infrastructure to an absolute minimum. No lights, no wide paths, nothing like that. The whole goal is to actively manage the area to create a feeling of wildness and magic. It's like landscape design for your soul.
Okay, but all of this intensive management, especially for sports, has kicked off a much deeper, more philosophical debate about what Marka is actually becoming. Is it still a forest, or is it slowly turning into something else entirely?
And there's a word for this, sportification. It's the process where a natural space is gradually transformed into a high-performance sports arena. The whole focus begins to shift away from a nature experience and more towards athletic training and competition.
And you can see the evidence for this all over Marka. Trails are being widened and flattened to make room for modern skate skiing. Huge light poles are installed for night training.
Actual ski stadiums are being built. And, maybe most importantly, snow cannons are brought in to make sure there's a long winter season, no matter the weather.
You see what's happening here? It's a total clash of ideals. All the infrastructure you need for organized sports, the wide tracks, the lights, the noise from snow cannons, it directly conflicts with that traditional idea of a simple, unorganized freelifts life. The forest is being pulled in two completely different directions.
And that brings us to the final and maybe most critical part of this story. Because as if this internal identity crisis wasn't enough, Markham is now facing these immense pressures from outside forces that really threaten its very existence.
So that famous Marka boundary, that magic line we started with, well, it's not so secure anymore. It's being attacked from two sides, from the city trying to push its way in, and from major changes happening inside the forest itself.
It's like the two great challenges of our time are playing out right here in this one forest. From the outside, you have relentless urban growth. And from the inside, you have the undeniable impact of a warming climate.
Let's start with climate change. It's a pretty straightforward chain reaction. Warmer winters mean less reliable natural snow. That leads to a massive increase in making artificial snow. But snow cannons need a huge network of infrastructure: water pipes, power lines, heavy machinery, all built right inside the protected forest. The natural winter that people come to enjoy is slowly becoming a high-tech artificial construction.
And at the exact same time, you have developers who are constantly lobbying to nibble at the edges, to push that Marka-grensen back just a little bit to make room for new housing. The managers are fighting just to maintain a buffer zone, because the big fear is something they call parkification, that the wild edges of the forest will get so tamed and managed that they stop feeling like a forest at all and start feeling more like a manicured city park.
So, we end up with this incredible paradox. Marka is saved by a law, it was embraced by a culture that truly values nature, and it was cleverly managed to handle the crowds. But the pressures from that very same love, the demand for perfect ski trails, for easy access, for homes with a forest view, those are now its greatest threats. The question isn't how to save a place from its enemies anymore, it's how to save it from its friends. And that's a question that cities all over the world are going to have to face.